Why don't we talk about propaganda? I mean, really talk about it. Not as some relic of a bygone era or a buzzword thrown around by internet skeptics, but as a living, breathing, constantly evolving force shaping our perception of reality right now. It's an invisible hand, meticulously crafting narratives, nudging our opinions, and subtly dictating what we see as truth. Yet it hides in plain sight, a silent architect of consensus, so ubiquitous that its very existence often goes unmentioned, or worse, unrecognized. What if I told you that the very reason we don't discuss it openly is part of its insidious design? To understand this profound silence, we have to journey back, not just to the dramatic posters of wartime or the broadcasts of totalitarian regimes, but to the very genesis of modern thought manipulation. The term propaganda itself has ancient roots, stemming from the Catholic Church's Congregatio de Propaganda Fide, a congregation for propagating the faith. It was about spreading beliefs, often with fervent conviction. But the modern story, the one that truly sets the stage for our current predicament, begins in the smoky rooms of early 20th century psychology and public relations. Imagine a world freshly grappling with mass media, newspapers, radio, and nascent film, suddenly capable of reaching millions simultaneously. The power was immense, terrifying, and utterly irresistible to those who understood its potential. Enter Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud's nephew, a man often called the father of public relations. Bernays didn't invent propaganda, but he refined it, weaponizing psychology to sell not just products but ideas. He understood that people weren't rational actors. They were driven by unconscious desires, fears, and aspirations. His brilliance, or perhaps his greatest sin, was recognizing that if you could tap into these subconscious currents, you could engineer consent. He wasn't just selling Lucky Strike cigarettes to women by framing smoking as a symbol of liberation. He was selling a feeling, an identity. He rebranded propaganda, a word tarnished by its association with World War I enemy states, as public relations. This wasn't just a cosmetic change, it was a conceptual shift. Propaganda became something they did, while public relations was something we did, a neutral professional activity designed to foster understanding. But the core mechanism remained the same, the deliberate systematic shaping of public opinion to achieve a desired outcome. This linguistic sleight of hand, this rebranding, was perhaps the first subtle act in making propaganda invisible, transforming it into something palatable, even respectable. And it started a trend, a quiet evolution where the methods became more sophisticated, more pervasive, and infinitely harder to detect. But things took an even darker turn as the 20th century progressed, and Bernays' principles moved from selling soap to shaping political landscapes, from managing corporate images to engineering global conflicts. The methods evolved far beyond crude posters and overt censorship. Modern propaganda operates in a far more sophisticated, almost elegant manner. It rarely tells outright lies anymore, because outright lies are easily debunked. Instead, it weaponizes truth itself. It curates, emphasizes, omits, and frames. It creates echo chambers where certain narratives are reinforced constantly, making alternative viewpoints seem not just wrong, but absurd, even dangerous. Think about the news cycle. Why do certain stories dominate for days or weeks, while others, seemingly equally significant, vanish almost immediately? It's not always organic. It's often a carefully choreographed dance of attention, steering the public discourse away from uncomfortable truths and towards more manageable or beneficial talking points. The emotional appeal is paramount. Fear, anger, patriotism, victimhood, these are the levers of modern manipulation. Logic is often secondary to feeling. A carefully crafted image, a poignant anecdote, a visceral headline. These bypass the rational mind and implant an idea directly into our emotional core. We become invested, not just intellectually but emotionally, in certain narratives. And once emotionally invested, critical thinking becomes difficult, even painful. To question the narrative feels like questioning ourselves, our values, our very identity. Furthermore, the advent of digital media and sophisticated algorithms has supercharged this process. Our social media feeds aren't neutral reflections of reality, they are personalized propaganda machines, constantly optimized to keep us engaged, to reinforce our existing biases, and to subtly introduce us to new ideas that align with a predetermined agenda. Every like, share, and comment is data, fed back into the system to further refine its ability to influence you. We are not just consumers of information, we are targets, constantly being analyzed and subtly directed. The lines between news, entertainment, and advertising have blurred into an indistinguishable, persuasive fog. A documentary might be funded by an interest group. A celebrity endorsement might be a covert ad. A viral social media trend might be an orchestrated campaign. The very fabric of our information landscape is woven with these threads, making it incredibly difficult to discern the authentic from the manufactured. What they discovered next, and what continues to operate today, is that the most effective propaganda makes its own existence unthinkable. If you can convince people that propaganda is something only dictatorships do or something confined to history books, then you've effectively disarmed them. They stop looking for it. They stop questioning the source, the framing, the underlying agenda. They become perfect vessels for its transmission. We often assume that if a piece of information is widely shared, or if it comes from a seemingly reputable source, it must be true. But modern propaganda systems have learned to co-opt established institutions, to create their own reputable sources, and to disseminate material through seemingly organic channels. It's a hydra, with heads appearing in unexpected places, constantly adapting, constantly evolving. The sheer volume of information, the speed at which it travels, and the relentless pressure to form an opinion on everything creates an environment where nuance is lost and simplistic, often emotionally charged, narratives thrive. This is how consensus is manufactured, not through open debate, but through the systematic repetition of selected frames, selected facts, and selected emotions, until dissent begins to feel like a fringe, irrational act. The system becomes self-reinforcing. We consume the propaganda, internalize its messages, and then, often unknowingly, become agents of its further spread, echoing its sentiments in our conversations, our posts, our filtered realities. To this day, we may never know the full extent of the psychological warfare waged upon our perceptions. We live in a world where the very act of thinking critically, of questioning narratives, of seeking out diverse perspectives, feels like an uphill battle. Propaganda isn't just about influencing major political events. It permeates our daily lives, shaping our consumer choices, our social attitudes, even our self-image. From the ideals of beauty perpetuated by cosmetic companies to the political correctness debates that define our social discourse, an invisible hand is often at work, subtly guiding our thoughts and reactions. The ultimate goal isn't just to tell us what to think, but how to think, or more accurately, to create an environment where we cease to think independently at all. Our only defense, our only hope for true intellectual autonomy, lies in a constant, unwavering vigilance. It means questioning everything, scrutinizing sources, seeking out counterarguments, and perhaps most importantly, understanding our own biases and emotional triggers. Only by acknowledging the invisible architect can we begin to dismantle its subtle, pervasive influence and reclaim a genuine reality. If you want more mysteries like this, the next video explores the hidden biases in artificial intelligence.